Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you how I use my 2025 reading journal, both filling out information as I finish a book and my monthly setup for June. For June, I'll be doing a theme with the stationery that I got in last week's haul, so let's get into the journal. So this is my 2025 reading journal. It's a 192 page 100 GSM notebook I got from Stationery Pal. It has a beautiful pink witchy style design on the cover and spine. It's simple, but I love it. It has worked amazingly for my first reading journal, and I haven't had much trouble with quality despite the low price. As I haven't shown it before on this channel, I'll quickly go through the setup. This is my ratings page. I'm trying out the CallPal rating system this year, and because it's the first time I've used it, I wanted to make a page I can come back to reference if I forgot what each letter means. Next to it is my yearly goals, which includes the overall book goal and some specific smaller goals to do with genre and book style. The next spreads are simple. On the left, I have my 25 in 2025 and I add my rating after I finish the book. And on the right, I have a simple release the radar to track books coming out in 2025. This is my bookshelf tracker where I add every book I've read, color-coded by genre. I have 120 spaces here to match my 2025 goal. I'm just adding the books I've read so far in May to this spread. I try to keep my reading journal up to date, but I've fallen behind this month, so I have a lot of books to add. I then have a simple books read list that has the book number, title, author, dates read and star rating. This spread has Dutch doors and space for 150 books in case I somehow read over my goal. And this is where I realised my Notion page sorted the books wrong because I read 6 Scorched Roses in one day, the same day I finished Lights Out, so I'd accidentally written it in twice. So I'm just using some cutouts from the back of the journal to cover up the mistake and also fixing the bookshelf tracker, which also had it wrong, and then writing the rest of the books down. I have added a series tracker next so I can visually see how many books I have left in a series I'm reading and if they come out this year or not. The only series I've read so far this month is Crowns of Nyaxia, so I'm just updating that. I'm making the effort to read from more cultures, so the next spread is a map of the world that I colour in each time I read from an author from that country. There was nothing to add in that spread, so turning the page to my most used page in the starting area. I'm trying to read at least one page every single day this year, so I've made a Pages in Pixels page. I write down the amount of pages in the Notes app on my phone and then transfer them whenever I update the journal. When I have a lot to catch up on, I fill out each day that's the same colour rather than consecutively, so there's a lot of jumping back and forth, but I find it's more efficient. I also mark days I finish books with black pen. On the right side is my romance trope bingo, which I created to try and get me to read a larger variety within romance. I cross out a square when I read a book with that trope and then write the name of the book down in the bottom in the related number so I can look back and remember what it was. Next is the classic alphabet challenge where you try and read one book starting with every letter of the alphabet, and then on the right I have my book bracket which we'll fill out later in this video. This spread is where I have my monthly and yearly stats which we'll fill out for May later, so let's flick through my monthly spreads to get to May so I can enter my books. I forgot I ran out of stars for the end of April, so I'll quickly add them in now before we get to May. Here is my May monthly title page. Every month I make this page, decorate it in the theme I want, and then add my TBR and a calendar to track which days I read what throughout the month. I try to match up colours with the book cover colours when choosing which Tombow to use in the calendar for each book. Highlight the dates from start to end. Add end marks and arrows between weeks, and then add the title and a line through it, joining the section. Because I was so far behind, I did this all as grouped tasks, but I usually do books one by one as I finish them. Now, to fill out the book review sections, I'm going to box set this up too, as it makes it much quicker when I have a lot of books to add. Because I don't have much stationery in my collection yet, I only do these simple review sections, and if I have a space at the end of the month, I will do a special page on one book or series. Maybe as I get more into journaling, I will start having more aesthetic review sections. Next, I go through each book one by one and add ratings, format, dates read, and the written review. I store all of this information on Notion and keep that page up to date as I read, so I can just copy from there and expand on the written reviews if I want to fill out more space. I will sometimes also include a quote from the book if I liked how it was written and marked it on my Kindle or physical book to remember. When adding in bulk like this, I then add the page covers and the star rating template and then fill out the rating for each book and the page is complete. I won't go through what I thought of each book today because there were so many done at once, but if you would like reviews with these monthly journals, then let me know and I can add them into the next video. Skip this if you don't want spoilers on any of the books, but here is a close-up on how a full review spread turns out. I have another 3 books to catch up on, so let's just skip to them being done. That's May all caught up for this session, so let's now jump to the start of June where I finished May and set up the June cover spread. It's day 2 and I am in fact wearing the same jumper because it is winter and it's cold. I finished 50 books this month, so just updating my goals page quickly. Just fixing my mistake from last session and adding in the new books to the start of journal spreads. I've read 2 more books, bringing my total for the month to 11. I also had a new series to add to the series tracker, the Diamond Devils Dark Hockey Romance series, which I am already caught up with now and eagerly awaiting the 4th book, which is a Why Choose romance. Because book 4 doesn't come out until 2026, I wanted to add a symbol to my key to denote that I am caught up with a series. So a black dot in the box means it is a book that comes out in 2025, and a red dot means that the books have been announced but will not be released this year. I'm also just quickly adding in the next Crowns of Nyaxia book to my release radar page as I hadn't put it in yet. Just a couple of pixels to add, and I also marked off office romance and sports romance in my bingo because yes, a dark military romance where they are in the same regiment does count as office. Adding these 2 books to my calendar to finish it out. I love how this page looks once it's all finished. I set up their reviews the exact same way as before, so I will cut to the end again. I accidentally put the border in the wrong spot for Leave Me Behind, so I just made it into stitches which fits the themes of the book well. When I have a gap on the page at the end of the month, I just add a little decoration in the same style as the monthly cover page to fill the blank space. The last page I always have in my month is my monthly statistics, however because it takes up only 1 page and my monthly cover spread takes 2, it needs to be on the right page. So if I have a spare page, I will choose a book or series from that month, find some fan art and quotes, and make an aesthetic spread for it. I prefer to choose completed series and books I really enjoyed, so for this month I selected The Crowns of Nyaxia, specifically the Nightborn duet, because even though the series as a whole isn't complete, Araya and Rain's story is, and I can commemorate that. Once I sketch out the title, I play around with my printed pieces to find an arrangement I like, and take a photo so I can reference it after I move pieces away to stick others and stickers in. Again, I'm using some of my new stationery from my Journal Say haul, as well as some pieces my friend gifted me for my birthday recently. I really enjoy making these spreads, but it takes a lot of time to do, and I read a lot of books every month, which is why I do more simple review sections and these collages just when I have room in a month layout. Just adding some finishing touches to the blank space like stickers, stars, and a border. I like these pages to be very busy with very little blank space just because all my other spreads are much less cluttered. And here is how it looks complete. I'm happy with how it turned out, but I think nothing can truly beat my Zodiac Academy page from February. Lastly, for the month of May is the stats page. I do it in the same way every month, so I often flip back and forth to count where my highlight lines and markings need to go. I include the number of books read, number of pages read, favourite and least favourite book, average rating, total TBR read, average time to read, and pie charts on genre, page number, and format. I recently bought a ruler with different size circles in it, which made these pie charts so much easier. I'll calculate the percentage of each category and then eyeball the slice of the pie and colour it in and write the statistic on top. Because I seem to rate quite high or pick my books well, my least favourite book is still usually at least above 3.5 stars. I typically fill out the details first and then decorate in whatever space is left with the same theme as the cover page. Whenever I have a page that because of the binding doesn't open properly, I just stick them together and move to the next page. I'm not going to come close to using this whole journal in 1 year, so I don't need to be careful about wasting space with this method, and I hate pages that don't open fully. Just adding some small finishing touches, these flower stickers were quite big, which made it difficult to fit onto this stats page, but luckily there are also smaller pieces on this tape that I could use to fill it out. Filling out the 2 pages in the start of journal spreads for the end of the month. First is the book bracket. This I have gotten from Jashi Corinne as a better version than the typical monthly bracket where your second favourite book can be taken out of the running early just because it saw first place at the start. This month's top book was The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and it actually beat out every month but Love Unwritten for March, which I gave 5 stars. Next is the yearly statistics. The right page is more for the end of the year, but on the left I put a summary of statistics including my trackers and goals so I can see the progress throughout the year in each section. Here is a close-up of my May stats page before we start our June cover spread. The only thing I pencil out for this spread is the calendar location and size. Everything else I just play around and place where it fits. For the calendar, I have found the best size for how many books I have on the go at a time is 3.5 dot grid spaces tall and wide. June is a good month for us Sunday starters, so my days of the week title goes just above the first week at just under 1 dot grid space tall. I love a curved edge to a box, so I also add them here. I've grabbed out some stationery pieces I want to use for this theme to play around with after I add the finishing touches to my calendar. Starting with writing out my monthly TBR on this grid craft washi tape to stick above my calendar. With the way my Notion page works, I like having a written TBR as well to keep track of what was actually on the list at the start of the month when I made it. Adding a piece of washi just so the grid doesn't look like it's floating in space. I put my month header approximately where I want it to go and then start building out the design from there. I really don't have a plan coming into this, just slowly sticking things down and testing placement of things to see what I think works best. It's ended up being a sort of film and travel theme, adding some colour with the film PET tape with locations around the world in it, as well as quote stickers and some yellow beige to match the calendar and TBR with a small sticker from my yellow themed sticker book. I wanted to fill up the blank space in the top of the left and the bottom of the right page, so I used a map washi tape in the same brown theme and ripped it diagonally in half to stick half in each place. It ended up adding a nice little touch and finishing the page well. Here is a close-up view of how the spread turned out, and I can't wait to use it this month. Getting behind on this journal in May taught me how much I prefer adding books as I go, so I will aim to do that for June and report back in July on how I went. So that's my reading journal caught up and ready for more reading in June. Let me know some of your ideas for future monthly themes in the comments below, as well as if you'd like to see more of my reading and journaling content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!